Welcome to Chokeholds Chill. I'm Jen, middle-aged grappler, coffee addict, and proud owner of the world's ugliest armbar.
And I'm Mallory, your training partner who's always laughing, even when being absolutely smashed, submission lover, and early bird fundamentals coach.
Here on Chokeholds Chill, we dive into the lives of our favorite sparring partners, the highs and lows of training, and what it really means to chase big dreams on and off the mats.
But it's not just about Jiu Jitsu. We're here for the laughs, the lessons, and the moments that remind us why we love this crazy sport and this crazy life.
We're here to talk about the good, the bad, and the hilarious, because let's face it, the mat teaches us more than just arm bars and mount escapes.
It teaches us about ourselves and how to navigate through life while being a part of an incredible community of people.
I mean, that's how we met.
Whether you're a seasoned competitor, a white belt finding your footing, or someone who just loves a good story, this podcast is for you.
It's about the roles we take, the people we meet, and the lessons that stick with us both on and off the mats.
So grab your gi, tie your belt tight, and get ready to roll with us.
This is Chokeholds Chill. Let's get into it.
I'd rather be looking at you guys.
You say that.
I am just like,
wait.
if you feel like I'm staring at you too much, it's because I feel like I'm just meeting you for the first time because your face is naked.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
okay.
who are you?
Can we talk about this? Because the fact that
Jesse?
the mustache.
Okay.
Well, what about Jesse?
Oh, I thought you were gonna. I was just assuming you were gonna say the fact that Jesse also shaved his like at the same time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What day did you shave yours?
It's like something in the ether, I guess. When did I shave it? I'm really bad with like remembering dates. It had to have been last weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, last
What
weekend.
sparked this?
So what sparked this is, okay, so when I moved to Portland, I had long hair. Like,
How long?
Like really long.
Did you have like man bun long hair?
I mean, it was
Like
up in a man bun
flowing
sometimes.
locks?
It was very long.
Shut up, down
Like
your
to
back.
your waist?
Yeah, like very long.
I'm going to need
I have
photo
pictures,
proof of
please?
this.
I could find some.
Did you braid it?
It got braided sometimes.
Wait, did you have like a full beard too? Or was it?
did.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Wow. a lot of hair.
Was it like a dirty look? Or like a Jason Momoa?
I think,
So was it dirty or Tarzan hot? Like is what she's.
It's one or the other.
well, it depends on who you ask. Yeah, like
We're
my
asking
good,
the
my
ladies.
good friends would say I looked homeless.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the ones being
If
honest.
you're asking the ladies, I don't know. I don't know.
Was there a lack of ladies or an abundance of?
Because that's what answers it for you.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
Unless you were
I had
looking just for the men.
Had options.
options.
Okay. So he attracted a type.
But I will say those options change with like, I guess your presentation. So like.
For sure.
So you had like homeless options.
Exactly.
Wow.
I know the type.
Jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, so when I moved there, everybody had long hair. And so I was like, well, I don't want to be like everyone else, you know? And so at some point, I was also in construction. So it was like really hot in the summers. I was like, well, I'm going to hack it off. You know, because I don't want to be a part of the zebra back up there. Well, no, it's the same thing. Like, especially with my job, it's like everybody's got mustaches now. And I'm like, I don't feel special anymore.
It's not just now, though. Like, it's a cliche.
Yeah.
It is the
They
thing.
don't just now have them.
Yeah.
It's hand in hand.
Yeah.
Goes with the career.
When
Yeah.
I first came to this office, no one had one, but I did. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know.
He's a
whatever.
trendsetter.
You are a trendsetter. Yeah.
so.
Yeah. It
Everyone
was
wants
a
to be
strong
Kenny.
stash. Now it's gone.
was.
It was a very strong. Yeah.
But like I said, I think you look younger.
Okay,
like a
good.
solid 10 years younger.
Good. I actually had to go into like my computer and look at a bunch of old photos to find myself without facial hair. To like convince myself.
That's
I
so
was
funny.
scared. It was like I had the razor in my hand and I was like looking at pictures.
He's on it's Pinterest of his
Literally.
life.
One of my best friends, he like showed me a picture, like a group picture that he was in, but he didn't have facial hair. And he was like, can you pick out which one I am? I was like, I genuinely couldn't.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I don't know what your face looks like under there. So like, it was just so bizarre. So, I mean, your whole face wasn't covered before, but like you do look so different.
Yeah.
Even just with the lip is naked and it's weird.
I know. Yeah. Surprise myself when I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know?
Wait, what are the lady options like now? Like this past week?
This past.
Are you pulling extra people over just to get a feel? Like
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. No comment.
No comment. We'll ask him again in a week.
I'm gonna ask you later.
All right. So I guess should we officially get it started?
Welcome back to Chokeholds and Chill. Today we've got a special guest. It's our friend Kenny. I can't say your last name. Never mind. But don't worry.
You almost said it.
Okay, of course, Kenny. Welcome, Kenny. Now that I lost track there, welcome to Chokeholds and Chill. This is not a result of the safety meeting.
It's not. Yes, it is.
I know.
Whoa, safety meeting.
You're not
Do you
invited.
ever wonder what our safety meetings are? We have safety meetings before class, like
parking
a couple
lot.
times a week,
Really?
where
Not
we
doing
sit in the parking lot and get
anything
high
illegal.
before class,
Oh.
and we call it
I
our
was like,
safety
wait,
meeting.
did you not know? It's
So
not.
those days that we come in and we're smelling really good and we're extra giggly, that's because we had a safety meeting.
Okay.
And our jiu-jitsu was fucking fire those days too.
Truly.
Self-proclaimed.
Okay.
Why I'm not allowed to teach.
So we always start off our episodes with what we like to call roll call, where we see who's here with us today and any small win you've had for the week. So I guess I'll start. I'm Mallory. I'm here.
Mallory?
I'm here. And my win is sitting here with you guys right now.
Oh, baby girl.
Who else we got here today?
I'll go by Kenny.
Asterisk.
Let's see. Victory this week. Well, we gained an hour last night, right?
No, we lost an
We
hour.
lost it?
We lost an hour.
Sprung forward.
Doesn't that mean we
moved the
lose an
clock ahead an
hour?
hour.
Wait a second.
So we turn the
I
clock.
always get this wrong. So,
So when we spring forward, we lose an hour.
Yeah.
When we fall back, we go back an hour. So we
Yeah.
gain an hour.
okay, yeah, that's right.
Did you
So-
work last night? The
So
bar's
that's not a
closed
win.
early.
So-
That's not a win.
So let's just scratch that. I did catch up on some sleep, however, which that was a victory. I trained this week, which was a victory too, because I got super sick a couple weeks ago, and then I was on vacation out of town, so I was out for a while. This week I did get to train. Yeah, 3 days I think. So that was a big win.
That's a
Hell
pretty
yeah.
damn big win.
Yeah.
How about
Was it this week? Last week. Never mind. I did jiu-jitsu this week for the first time in like a month and a half.
you? Woo!
I lifted weights this week and I made it 3 whole days before I had to take time off. So
Hell yeah.
not too bad. 3 days of like actual training.
So let's get into it a little bit. So Kenny, tell us about your earlier life. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from? What brought you to today's Kenny?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the South.
Okay.
I lived there for all of my childhood up until my early 20s. Being from the South, there's some things that are kind of, normal, I would say. And like growing up in the South, like very involved in church, family, stuff like that. My granddad was a preacher. I did live in what was called a parsonage for some amount of time, which is a church connected to a house. So very involved with like church as a small kid. And I've got some other family members in ministry. So yeah, and then let's see, I just as I got older, got kind of a travel bug really in my teenage years. Tried college, the whole thing. Really just, I guess, not so much structure in my life as I kind of became of age into early adulthood. And so I just kind of wanted to see what the world was like outside of the South. So I traveled quite a bit. I ended up moving to Utah, lived there for a few years, did the ski bum thing.
Nice.
Skied all day, bartended at night.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then I just kept going, really. I moved to Wyoming, lived there for a little bit, worked on a ranch. And then I went to Colorado. I lived there for a little bit. Some of these moves, there was like no preface or like reason.
You
Like, it
just
was
picked up and went.
Just like get up and go.
Literally, like Colorado.
How much notice?
Well, like I didn't just bounce from my jobs. I, left on good notes, I would say. But like no planning for some of it. Like Colorado, me and my good buddy, we just looked up like best places to live in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
And we just went. And I think we even slept in our vehicles the first few nights.
Where in Colorado were you?
Boulder County.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Boulder County, a little city in Boulder County. Pleasantville, like black and white. Nobody locks their doors or anything like that.
Wow.
Just really cool. No chain restaurants.
Yeah.
Unique. We were going to this coffee shop like every day, just doing some research, figuring out like how we're going to get plugged in to the community there. Ended up meeting a really cool guy there that was a regular. He let us stay at his house for a little bit until we kind of figured things out. And ended up getting hired by that coffee shop, both of us.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of funny and unique. We ended up working there for a while. And then at some point it was kind of like, well, what are we doing here,
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere else.
Time to move on.
Yeah. Ended up going back home down south for a while. Had some buddies that I had met in Utah that moved on the West Coast over here. And they're like, you should come. It's pretty cool. I was like, well, why not? So kind of in this phase of like,
Fuck it,
whatever.
let's go.
Yeah. And so that's how I ended up way over here. That's like super condensed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is like the time frames from all this moving? So from age what to what?
I'll give you years. Let's see. From the time I left the South, somewhere around 12 to 15 years.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot
A lot
of
of years
time.
of just kind of rambling, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nomadic. I would say.
Did you stay in the U.S. the whole time?
No, I didn't. Me and one of my buddies that kind of moved around with me some, we went to Europe for, and I could get some of this wrong. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of bad with dates and stuff, but in time frames, it's like a blur. But somewhere between 3 and 4 months, we were in Europe, Spain and Portugal.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for 3 or 4 months straight. I mean, it was
That's fantastic.
it was really cool.
What season was it?
We went, if I remember correctly, in December. We landed in Madrid and we worked south and west and south down to the tip of Portugal, which is where a lot of people will commonly migrate to during the winter because it's warmer
Yeah.
to kind of get away from cold climates. So it was actually really nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Damn. That sounds fun.
So you've always been a bit of a nomad and a free
I
spirit.
feel like I have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily like shelf myself as that person, but like, looking back, that is what happened.
Yeah. So what was your like athletic background? Did you play sports growing up? Did you do like any recreational sports as you moved around? I know that's a big way that people meet other people in communities.
Yeah, so I would say seriously no. I mean, as a young kid, my dad was fortunately very involved in baseball with me. So I did play like, city ball. We had a competitive team, played a lot. did try out for the high school baseball team. I might have played for a little bit, but nothing. No, I wasn't like a big sports kid. I was in the band.
Ooh, what'd you play?
I played the drums in the band.
Nice.
Yeah. So not to be thrown in with like all the band geeks. You know, the drummers are kind of like
Your
their own-
percussion, yeah,
separate.
you're the cool
Yes.
section.
Yes.
But and then you were a ski bum as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's like your little bit more of an athletic background, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes me sound confusing.
Like, no, I don't know.
So where did jiu-jitsu come in?
So I was in Oregon, in Portland. I was training in Portland at a Renzo Gracie Academy. And I started in 2018, sometime around the mid to later half of that year. It's Aaron Milam's gym, who's a black belt under John Donaher. That's when I started training. Yeah.
Things make so much sense now. You are the sandbagger that I thought you were.
So you started in 2018. We are now in 2025.
Kenny and I have been training
In case you did not know.
Yeah.
Did you take like time off at some point, like during COVID times, or why have you been sandbagging for so long?
What are you, gym hopping so you don't promote? Like, what's going on?
Well, so part of it's injuries. I did get injured a couple times. I had a pretty bad elbow injury that took me out for a couple months, which was just from being a brand new stupid white belt. Just didn't realize how much danger I was in, maybe.
Yeah.
Thinking I could get out. And then the guy I was, rolling with I think he was a purple belt at the time, and no fault of his at all. I think we were both, he was kind of like just working through it and thinking, well, this guy's really flexible. Surely he's smart enough to know when he should tap. And I didn't. And there was like a very audible pop. That took me out for a little bit. And then another just freak accident. I had been training for long enough to know better at that point. I was rolling with one of my buddies up there, and I was in bottom side control, and nothing crazy. I think it was just how I shrimped out. I had a rib pop. It was like another audible pop, and he was like, he heard it, and he was like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine," And then when I was leaving class, it was like really hard to even just turn my body.
Yeah.
And then there was like some light bruising that showed up at home.
Oh, that's
Ended
a
up
big
going to
one.
the doctor, and just based on symptoms, they're like, "Yeah, you got a fractured rib."
Nice.
That took me out for like another 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we say? Just like 6 months out there. Yeah, and then 2020, late 2020, I started the hiring process with my job. And then the training is such that it takes you away from like your home, and like you're pretty much all invested in the process.
Right.
Yeah.
I was able to train some of that year, because it's pretty much like a year you're under that process. I was going to a gym in Central Oregon as much as I could. Of course, some of the training, with my job involved some, hands-on training.
I got to go back just for a hot second. When you started training in 2018, did you have long hair still?
I did.
And the beard.
Yeah.
Wow, what a
Yeah, I
gift to
did.
your fellow students.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it wasn't fun, It's like,
Yeah, we know.
No.
We don't know the beard part, but
would
the hair is
never.
brutal
It
sometimes.
is.
Yeah.
yeah.
How long did you hang on to the hair before you cut it?
Once I started training,
Yeah.
it was like a year, somewhere around a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that must have been a dramatic transformation.
Yeah.
That mean, how did you go from being like this nomad, ski bum,
Like,
coffee, working on a ranch? Yeah,
Sorry,
like
I need to edit
yeah,
that.
Because it was like around the same time I started training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this might help us backtrack and maybe answer why I started jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I was in construction for a number of years after bartending. At some point, I was doing both. Yeah, just I worked for a union company doing construction, and then I was a contractor for a couple years. And I was kind of just pigeonholed. I was like, is this really what I want to do the rest of my life? And construction's rough on the body. Construction demands a lot physically. Depending on what type of construction, I would argue all of them do to some extent. Anyways, I was like, I don't think my body can keep up with this forever. And I didn't have that like passion to want to create a company and hire a bunch of people. And I didn't have
Right.
like any mentors. So I didn't really even know where to begin. And it was just kind of overwhelming for me, maybe. And so I was like, well, what can I do? Or what should I do? I guess was the big question. It was like some sort of a crossroads in life, right? Like what can I do? What should I do? And then so that brings up some questions, like, well, what will fulfill me? What will challenge me? What will make me a better person? Something that would really kind of thrust me forward and give me some sort of genuine fulfillment in life. And so law enforcement just kind of like popped up in my head. I was like, well, that seems challenging. That seems like it could be rewarding, like being of service to others, having to be in like good shape, having to like be sharp mentally,
Right.
Clean cut, taking care of yourself, all those things that like should come along with a serious position like that. So I was like, structure.
Yeah.
This is what it
Yeah.
really came down to. I was like, well, maybe it's time to like settle down and like do something serious.
Yeah.
And
How old were you at this point?
let's see, how old am I now? 36. So
Math is hard.
yes,
I don't do
right.
numbers,
I was
so.
somewhere around 30, 31 when I started kind of having these realizations.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so jujitsu was one of those things. It was like also kind of like, well, what else can I do with my time that would be beneficial to me, as a person?
Yeah.
And at that time, there was like the podcasting world was getting pretty popular. And so a lot of the podcasts I were listening to kind of went down that road of like, jujitsu is really good for you if you want to become a better person, like if you want to get in shape, and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I'll do some research. I was like, well, I'll try it, and that kind of really got the ball moving and like some really big wind of change for me in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember I went to the first class and I went home and I had like red marks all over me and like I was drenched in sweat. I was just about to get in the shower and there was like this, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, there's some sort of like primal feeling of like,
Yeah.
this is super exciting. I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I guess mentally I fell into jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense.
So it was kind of like an immediate, you went and you were like, yep,
Oh, yeah.
like this is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Sign me up.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because like that's the experience that I had too. Like
Same.
one class and I was like, oh yeah,
Hooked.
I'm fucking sold. Like
Yeah.
let's do this.
Like all I was thinking about was like, when's the next class?
Yeah.
And how do I get better?
That's
Yeah.
so cool. So this is like the same time as you are like looking into this career of law enforcement.
Sort of, yeah.
Or
It was
what
like-
came
it was
first?
Jiu-jitsu came first. And I was still in construction. I ended up getting back into school, into college. I was one of those people that had like enough credits to have a bachelor's degree, but like didn't have any degrees.
Right.
And so I basically went to a college and I was like, well, and that was another thing. It was like, well, I should probably just finish something, and so I did. I worked with the college, and so jiu-jitsu came first. Yeah, and then at some point I was like, still trying to work myself out of construction.
Would you say that the structure of jiu-jitsu kind of like sparked you to push that forward for the rest of your life, like continue that path on other aspects of your life?
Oh yeah, 100%. And for a lot of reasons, for a lot of good reasons. For me too. I mean, just like I think it's pretty common knowledge for most of us who train jiu-jitsu, but like the mental aspect is huge. Like it does kind of put you in this frame of mind, or kind of presents this perspective of like, having to deal with like frustration and like discomfort and failures and things like that. And you have to work through that stuff. And it changes you. Like it really does change you. Even if you don't realize it, at some point you'll look back and be like, I've changed.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, I think in a lot of ways it mentally helped kind of prepare me in a lot of ways for a job in law enforcement. I can't say that would be everyone's experience, because people are different. Like maybe I was just at a certain place where it just so happened that it did prime me.
So how long were you training jiu-jitsu before you started training for law enforcement, before you got into that?
So if I started in 2018, I didn't start in law enforcement until the very beginning of 2021. So what you got, 2019, 2020, and part of 2018. So like 2.5 years of jiu-jitsu, plus the injuries, plus some working out of town with construction, like most hobbyists that have a full life outside of jiu-jitsu, get in there when you can. You have like, a set number of days. You're like, this is my goal.
Right.
You try to hit that if you can. I mean, there were some weeks when I could only get in 1 day a week or whatever. I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, no, you did. You did.
So about a little over 2 years before I actually got a job in law enforcement.
Wow.
And then the initial like training process for law enforcement, like you have to go to academy and whatever else, right? So now that you are removed from that and like you're in your career and you still have this hobby of jiu-jitsu and obviously your job is not easy, how do you balance jiu-jitsu and your job and your life now?
Yeah, good question. I think, how do I answer this? So they almost balance one another. Like, I don't know if that's just a overly obvious answer, but they really balance each other in a lot of ways. How do I balance those? I mean, I do them both and try to do them both, my job as well as I can and train as much as I can, because I was trying to think of and I've been thinking about this a while, like an analogy for me personally. It's like, this probably sounds silly, but like if you have like a towel that's completely drenched and like that water that's soaking up this towel is full of like life stressors, all this stuff. Like when I go to jiu-jitsu, it's like I'm wringing that out. And there's like this refreshing feeling, like things just kind of roll off. And so, like, how do I balance the two? It's like I almost, for me personally, like need jiu-jitsu to help balance. Because, and then, conversely, jiu-jitsu, like we had talked about, it's like it puts you in these positions of like frustrations. You're having to problem solve under like immense pressure and not overreact, and things like that. And so that also helps balance my career, because you're in situations in law enforcement where you can be frustrated by a number of things. Like it's a true test of your patience and your willpower a lot of times. And so they both kind of actually balance one another.
Yeah.
And again, like maybe that's just my perspective. As far as like, the physical nature of the job, I mean, you're in a car a lot of times, wearing a lot of heavy gear, and that can wear on your body a lot of days. It's like you get home and you don't feel like going to jiu-jitsu, but
Right.
like, how do you balance that? Sometimes you just do it. Like
You got to
just-
wring
you
out the
just-
towel.
Yeah, you just got to go,
Yeah.
and you just show up. You don't think about, I don't want to go. Like,
Right.
those thoughts come in, but it's like, you got the time, like, just go, do it. And it's so much better when you just go and do it.
Yeah.
Every single time.
So, and then outside of like jiu-jitsu and work, I would say to help balance, it's like just doing like, PT at home, like whether it's just like laying on the floor and like stretching my body on my days off, or going for a walk, or just some light working out, like nothing super heavy for me personally.
Yeah.
It's like moving my body really helps to kind of release a lot of the stiffness from the job. And then it also helps with just general movement in jiu-jitsu too. So I think that kind of is the best way I know how to answer, like, how do I balance the two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. Like, I love your analogy, the towel analogy, and I love that you have this like perfect balance of like,
Yeah, they kind of,
one
like-
benefits the other. Like
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu benefits your work benefits jiu-jitsu, and like I think that it's awesome that
just
you have that
evens.
balance for yourself, because I
And
know
think,
it's
I think anybody, like in any type of job, can probably say the same things, but for different reasons.
Different here.
I'm like this fucking idiot making. No, I'm just kidding.
Get your shit together then. Okay. All right. So, do you have similarities? Like, so you're in your car a lot for your job, and this area has some opportunities to get out of your car for your job and move quickly, and you may end up in a little like tussle. Do you ever need to use any aspects of jiu-jitsu, or is it just kind of like you separate them completely and jiu-jitsu is your off time, and then there's your other tactics that you're required to use for work on your own time? or your
Yeah,
work
so
time?
I'm going to speak very generally about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely. Like, I think that it's becoming more common knowledge that jiu-jitsu relates to a job like law enforcement.
Right.
For obvious reasons. Like, there are times when you have to come into physical contact with someone, and you need to be able to do what you have to, secure them in handcuffs or put them in a car or get them off of someone,
Yeah.
or, if they're aggressing you, to like make sure you're able to protect yourself
Yeah.
safely. So it translates like 100% for me personally. I like to think that it's a combination of things, but I like to think that it's kind of how I present myself to people. That it doesn't necessarily like warrant a physical altercation.
Yeah.
So I would say that I haven't had to do that so much.
That's
I
nice.
think that sometimes people just are gonna do what they're gonna do, but
Right.
a lot of times people are looking for a reason, and if you don't give them a reason, or if you present yourself in such a way that kind of de-escalates things,
Yeah.
and that's another like good talking point about, I think, martial arts in general, but like true fighting arts. It seems like the people that become really proficient at martial arts, they tend to be the people that like never get into a situation where they have to use it.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about that too. I think.
Yeah. I think it's like the ability to stay calm in chaos.
Yeah.
Like, because that's
Yeah.
how I feel like what jiu-jitsu's done for me is like you're in this high stress situation, but it just like you have to stay calm and in the moment, and what do I do next? So, and I think too, I mean, yeah, it's the discipline and the focus and everything. And I also think like your job is adrenaline. You get adrenaline when you get adrenaline when you do jiu-jitsu. And
Right.
I feel like I get adrenaline from traveling. So
Yeah.
I feel like, are you an adrenaline junkie in a way?
I would say I'm pretty risk averse.
Really?
Oh.
Okay.
Which is interesting because
Yeah.
I train jiu-jitsu and I'm in law enforcement.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I think that those things are kind of like just what I was seeking out, maybe in a more like philosophical sense to kind of better myself. Because it tempers you. And another point on that, it's like, humans, we're pretty animalistic. So like if you come up to someone and they get this read on you, where they can sense this person, there's something else behind the cloak here on this person. Like they're super calm for some reason, and that can really diffuse someone. Versus someone that's like super anxious and shaky, and that can almost like warrant a fight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
What's like your favorite travel story that sticks with you on the notes of like adventure and fun, and like, which one's the best?
Yeah. So one thing that like I'll never forget, but and it's not like super crazy or anything, but when I was in Europe with my buddy, we were in Portugal, and we stayed at this pretty large, I'd call it a farm, in this mountainous area in Portugal, and this guy had a bunch of goats, and our job there was, so basically like we did some work, and then they fed us and they kept us. But we had to work so many hours a day.
Yeah.
Well, there was like a ton of goats. I can't remember how many. A lot of goats. And so our job was to go out every morning, milk them, get them out of their like corral. And as I remember, he had basically inherited the goats in the farm from his family members.
Oh no.
And so these goats had at some point in the past been like shepherded, if that's the way to say it. So somebody at some point probably had like a stick and walked around with them and like showed them the paths or the trails around the ranch. Well, the lead goats had bells on their necks, and he basically was like, just don't get out of earshot of those goats because they know where to go. Like they're the dominant ones, and they've been passed down the knowledge of like where to go. Just make sure you stay with them. You don't need to point them in any certain direction. They'll walk back close to the house around lunch, and you can run to the house real quick and grab something and then jump back out there and chase down the bells. And so we did that for, as I remember, like 2 weeks. And it was it's just really memorable because like there was no cell phone service.
Wow.
The property, the place we were sleeping in was like medieval, like literally like cobblestone structure, dirt floors. There was like a big cast iron cauldron that hung like in this fireplace.
That's so cool.
There was
So rad.
dirt and dust everywhere on every surface inside, like less than ideal conditions, like no
Yeah.
heat, no air, nothing like that. Like pretty sure our sleeping bags were on hay. You took a bath in the river. So it was a lot of time to just like think and detach from like life in general.
Wow.
I don't know. It was a really unique experience, and I think that was super memorable for me. In some ways, I'm sure it shaped me. But it was just good. It was
Yeah.
a good experience.
That's so cool.
I feel like that very much like it does kind of like it says a lot about you, and it kind of explains some things because I feel like I mean I feel like what you're
making sense.
yeah, like so some of like your experiences with travel and like all of that has like translated and led you to like this cool, calm, collected demeanor that like, but you can also murder somebody if you wanted to, but you don't need to because you're just like, you're zen, you're cool, you're chill. Like,
like
You
how do
don't
end
need
up
to
like
murder
that?
me.
You either do like live a life kind of like I've lived, or you're just born a psychopath.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like the psychopath aspect of it like negates any sort of like empathy or caring. So
Yeah,
I think
I'm
you
glad
just
that you
like,
pointed that out.
yeah. Those are two different
I
things.
guess I do have feelings.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah.
No, I just think that like the, flexibility and like just being all over and being
Yeah.
so,
He can do
that
anything.
you can do it
no
all,
anger.
which is
Drop him in. He'll
super
figure it
cool.
out.
No, so that's your cool travel story. So if you can share with us, what is your like craziest work story?
I will say that like the job, as it were, for me, it gives me an opportunity to connect with people in some really strange times in their lives. So without giving like any particular event, I will say that I've learned, and it's become like a really cool facet of the job that I would like to hope that a lot of people experience in law enforcement, that you get this ability to, not only take enforcement action, but like while you're doing that, connect with people. Like, and I think a lot of really good cops will tell you similar things. It's like, if you can end a contact with someone, even if it results in them going to jail, like where they shake your hand or tell you thank you,
Yeah.
then you've done a really good job. So, like, it also does something in me, like helps me grow as a person, to like be able to be put in these situations. And I think there is some empathy there where, you really genuinely get to try to experience and feel what they're feeling on their side. I mean, these could be like completely horrible, life-changing events, that you're a part of, like on a frequent basis in law enforcement. So the craziest things that happen kind of catapult you into these positions where, you can't freak out. And like the best thing to do a lot of times is just dive in deep and try to connect with these people and be a good person and try to find some way to like end the contact on a very good note. And so I guess I've changed the question a little bit, but I think that, the craziest things are good and challenging, which kind of goes back to the jiu-jitsu thing. It's like, you can't freak out, when you're in tough situations.
Yeah.
Because you just get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like have to say, I don't think that I've ever trained at or dropped into a gym where there is not a law enforcement presence in the gym. Like at least one or two. There's always, and so I always find that interesting because some of them, like you, got into jiu-jitsu first, and then some of them got into jiu-jitsu because of their job, because I thought it would help them more. And obviously, like, I'm from the East Coast, so I know like training is different everywhere, So I know that I've talked to some cops that they're like, I feel like we should have done more of this like combat hand-on-hand training. And so that's like a big reason that they got into jiu-jitsu, because they're like, oh, like now I feel like I'm way more well equipped for my job. So do you find like with your training for your job specifically versus like your training for jiu-jitsu, do you feel like there's like more that law enforcement training can include, or, how that can be like developed further?
Yeah. And I think that, like I said maybe earlier, it's becoming more like common knowledge that like, jiu-jitsu can be a really good tool for law enforcement.
Yeah.
It depends on like which agency you work for, because there's different, training processes or, programs that they have you work through. Most agencies, I would venture to say, have like, timelines or certain times of the year where you have to complete certain number of hours of training. And, the agency I work for in particular has done a really good job of like incorporating a lot of jiu-jitsu into the training. Not that it's like, because there's sport jiu-jitsu, right?
Right.
And then there's like the good things from jiu-jitsu you can take and kind of combine with like the ideas of somebody having weapons,
Yes.
or,
Yes.
somebody punching you and things like that. So some of the crazy fun stuff we get to do, and on the mats doesn't translate so much to
Right.
defensive tactics types training and law enforcement, because it could put you in like a position where it's not so beneficial for you. Did I answer your
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's two different sports. Like we say gi and no gi is two different sports. Well, defensive tactic training and sport jiu-jitsu is not the same thing.
Right, but there is a lot of translation between jiu-jitsu and law enforcement training, hands-on training, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And that's became a lot more common. Of course, then you've got some of these bigger, I guess I would call them brands of jiu-jitsu, or, gyms that have like created these programs that they even sell to law enforcement, like where you can come train for a certain number of weeks to like learn jiu-jitsu that's tailored to the job.
Yeah.
And that's just really seeping into law enforcement in general these days.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I like that. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kenny. Kenny, I know it is going to be great. Thank you. When you're not trying to beat me on the mats and when you're not doing your job,
When you're there, yeah.
if I show up, look, sometimes I don't come because people get scared. I don't want to intimidate everybody all the time.
True.
God, I've heard it firsthand. What does your day look like? What is like, aside from the work aspect, like what? There's more to you than
Like,
this.
who's Kenny behind jiu-jitsu?
Like, I don't know, I'm like maybe like a day off, let's say. Like my first day off from work it depends on how the week goes. Can be just like a day of recovery in general, which, I mean, there's, the basic domestic stuff, right? Like grocery shopping and cooking and like laundry, like that's all the boring
Nobody likes that.
stuff. Yeah, right. The necessary
You don't do your own
stuff.
laundry. Come on.
Yeah, so there's all that. I don't know. A lot of times I wonder like what people think of me, but because I think I am pretty just really relaxed in general. So like a good day to me is just like a relaxing day where I can like recover, like maybe try to like not so much think about so much and like be meditative if I can, and like clear my thoughts. Working out's kind of a big part of, I guess, who I am, or just moving my body. Not like any particular program or goals, but just like being active physically, like moving my body. I do like, music. I like playing the guitar sometimes just for self-satisfaction.
What kind of music do you play?
It's usually just really sleepy-headed type stuff. It's like stuff where I could pick up the guitar, before going to bed and almost like play myself to sleep. Just like super relaxing.
Yeah, nice.
Nothing crazy. I do like to fish. I don't get out a ton. It depends on like the season, depends on like, what fish are where, or can you go to the certain place. But, I really like getting out away from asphalt and being like, out of cell service and, just kind of listening to the wind and the water and looking for fish. I play golf. I do play golf sometimes. It's not super often, but it's another fun, like, social thing. There's like a little bit of competition there, and you're outside again. So that's fun. I like to do that. And then, I try to plan like traveling as much as I can, between my job and everything else. I stay pretty stapled down, but, I've got family back home, so it's good to stay in contact with them and go visit back home. I read quite a bit, I would say, maybe a little more than like an average person would read. So most of the things that I think that I do kind of lend towards, relaxation. I know that sounds so boring, but
You know what? I think like a perfect word to describe you, like with all of this, is you're very grounded.
Okay, I like to hear that.
Like you're very like grounded and chill and like I feel like you could talk me to sleep in like not a boring way though, but like just like a nice like chill like all right, Kenny.
He's the podcast at 3 a.m. and I'm like, where's that podcast?
No, so I just like feel like you're just very grounded and like I don't know. I just really like hearing like your perspective. And
good, yeah. Well, maybe I should pick up like hypnosis or something like that.
I think you already do it.
I want you to be friends with my husband. Yeah,
I'm over it.
I guess now that you guys say that, it makes sense that like a lot of people's initial assumptions of me is like, are you vegan? Like that's like a common thing.
That's so funny.
People
I am
ask.
not
and
even
it's like,
surprised.
where are you picking up on that?
It's the vibe.
Is it the vibe?
It has to be.
I mean, if you still had long hair, I might be like, maybe vegan?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I eat quite a bit of meat, but I don't know what to think about that question, you know?
Like, honestly, like, I'd be like, just peg you as a stoner before a vegan.
I would too, yeah. 100%. That is why it will always just be like, come on now, but we know you do not and cannot and will not.
But I guess I could fit into the safety meetings pretty well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
chill. But, man, I love this conversation.
I'm speechless. Was your jujitsu all, because that's what it feels like. That's what Kenny's jujitsu feels like, is that same mood. Were you that way when you started? What's changed with the way you do jujitsu now? There we go.
Yeah,
Cut to that.
good question. No, I mean, like, I don't think you could ask anybody, like, are you the same person you were 5 years ago? You know, I think we all change, you know, to some degree. You know, jiu-jitsu is obviously like a really big insert into someone's life, given like all the things that come with training. Without getting too like deep on like, I guess, who I was as like a younger person and like through my development as a human in general, there were certain things that like I probably needed to work through mentally to get to a better place. So, you know, outside of the physical realm, which I think we've kind of just like beat around this the whole time, but yeah, it's like this mental philosophical aspect of like training jiu-jitsu that is really like the biggest piece, and I guess my most favorite part of jiu-jitsu is like this temperance that it gives you mentally. It completely just translates to every part of your life. I mean, so yeah, outside of the physical stuff, I mean, it puts me in a more grounded state, I would argue. You know, despite feeling like you get hit by a train, you know, physically, like your mind is in some like, you know, flow meditative state because of it. And I think that I've met a lot of people that have, you know, had whatever types of issues, anger, PTSD, anxiety, you name it. And they, you know, they'll say, you know, jiu-jitsu is like my medication for all of that stuff. And I can, I guess I can feel that. Not that I've ever had like any major issues, but, you know, I struggle with same thing, I guess most people do, you know, to some degree, you know, normal stresses of day-to-day life and, you know, bouts of like just being really frustrated about silly things or being tested by people you really care about because you're just on top of them too much. And, you know, you get into like whatever arguments with your spouses or significant others or family members or disagreements with people at work. And, you know, your perspective around those incidents or experiences really change. Jiu-jitsu really changes that. And it's just the same stuff. It's like you're under that pressure. You're thinking, like, how can I navigate and problem solve through this to come to, like, a better outcome? And so, yeah, it's honed me, I would say. Like, how has it changed me? It's kind of like it molds you in a lot of ways. and I guess the best word I have for it's like this, just overall temperance. Like it tempers you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it humbles
Yeah.
you too. It's like you don't have to win the fight. Like it's okay to not win. Like it's okay to come to some sort of mutual agreement with people. It's okay to like get tapped out.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to lose sometimes. And like I don't know, there's this meme going around on the internet like of some of the MMA fighters. It's like you see them in their youth where they're super, you know, maybe like aggressive looking, and like the pre-fight interviews and all this stuff, they're super aggressive and talking trash, whatever. And then you see them now and they're, you know, just look calmer, and they're like wearing glasses, nice, you know, nice clothing, and they're more calm at the pre-fight interviews. And you know, the whole idea of the meme is like the anger in my eyes is gone.
Yeah.
And I think jiu-jitsu does that to a person. It really kind of calms you down too, in general. So, you know, I don't think that many people last very long in jiu-jitsu with that ego mentality of, you know, I'm in here to like smash everybody.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if that makes sense at all. I feel like I'm
Totally.
kind of rambling.
No,
you're
totally.
good.
Totally makes sense.
Here we are again. Bedtime stories with Kenny.
So what would be advice that you would give somebody who maybe has like a high stress job, and like balancing that? I know you talked about how you feel like the two balance itself in your life, but do you have any advice for somebody who maybe struggles with that balance?
Yeah, I mean, well, first, without inserting jujitsu, just as like an easy remedy or fix. I mean, I don't think that there's like any one particular like medicine that fits all. Let's say, you know, it's like just find something that you can do that helps you, that you can get on board with. That you resonate with, that can, you know, take your mind off of whatever those things are, or put you in a place where it takes you to those places. Because it's like, sometimes it's, you know, what do they say? Like the only way out is through, you know? And so like, sometimes you have to confront those things. And like, we have to, you know, another thing I think about a lot, it's like the thing that you most need to find is like in those darkest, you know, grungiest places.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to just go through those things, and maybe like a general acceptance. So it's like a mind frame, I think, is what it begins with, like an acceptance of like, okay, life is hard.
Yeah.
Like these things are difficult. Like I'm going through a hard time, or whatever it is. I battle with, you know, anxiety daily, whatever it is, and like, so there's like this general acceptance. And I mean, there's a ton of things that a person could do, you know, like a walk without your phone, walking really slow intentionally, like having some intentionality in life. And just, you know, this acceptance of like these are the cards I've been dealt. This is what's on my plate. Like, how can I fashion this to like better serve myself? And how will that, you know, then, you know, fold out into the world around me, and, you know, have a positive impact on others. So like, you know, obviously exercise is really good for a lot of reasons. I personally would argue that like taking time away from all distractions. So like, you know, no phone, no TV, you know, like no sound. Like sometimes just sitting and staring at a wall and like trying not to think can be very beneficial, you know, too. So like incorporating a little bit of balance in your life, but, you know, heavy on the side of, you know, any sort of prescription of something that will benefit your mental health, because really I think that's what it boils down to. But, you know, jiu-jitsu is, you know, now inserting that as like a prescription for helping someone that has like anxiety and things like that. You know, you don't have to even think about it as if this is something that is going to help me. In fact, some people might even stumble into it and then realize, oh my God, like this is drastically changing my life for the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the same stuff. It's like, you have all these frustrations, anxiety, anger issues, whatever it is, and you come on the mats and you have, you're brand new, let's say, and you have someone that's like much smaller than you, and they just totally decimate you, and it humbles you, and it kind of again wrings you out in some ways. You're kind of confronted with a lot of difficulties and stress and stuff on the mats, and again that just translates into your life. It kind of minimizes all of your issues in a lot of ways, or kind of diffuses a lot of your own personal issues.
Yeah. Like rapid fire questions for you, if you're down.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay.
Good luck.
We'll start easy. Okay, we'll start easy.
I think you can handle this.
Gi or no gi?
Gi.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
Beach.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Takedowns or guard pulls?
Ooh, takedowns.
Favorite holiday?
Oh my goodness. Thanksgiving.
Favorite sport besides Jiu Jitsu?
Gosh. Favorite sport besides Jiu Jitsu? Yeah, I mean, I'd say golf because I like playing it.
Okay, cool. If you had to pick your go-to hype song, what's that?
Go-to hype song.
He's like, bitch, I don't get hyped.
He's like, I just listen to Bob Marley.
I've been hyped for 3 weeks. Can't you tell?
This is like a changing thing, for me. It's not like one song my entire life track that hypes me. Recently I've been listening to this song called Agadez by Mars Volta. That's pretty hyping.
Okay.
I like that one.
We're going to have to listen to that.
Yeah.
We'll have to look it up.
It's really good.
All right. One more question. Actually, no, I have 2 more questions. First one. Okay. You've one hand. Each finger on that hand is a liquid dispenser. And those are the 5 drinks you can have for the rest of your life. So each finger is like a soda dispenser, okay? But any type of beverage, but you can only have 5 for the rest of your life. What are those 5 things?
These are to ingest?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, got you.
No, just to squirt at people. Yes, to ingest.
Do that too, though. Your fingers.
You can do that too, though.
Well, you only need one, right? Like water. But yeah, so that's an obvious answer. Water, coffee. Does that count? Okay.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. It's
Right
a
line here.
requirement.
Okay, water, coffee. Let's see, liquid, some sort of milk. So
Okay.
like whether cow milk or some sort of nut milk. Let's see, gotta say alcohol. So I'd probably go with vodka.
Okay.
It's it's a clean one. Mm-hmm. That's just for fun, I guess, or relaxation. I've got one more, huh? Shoot, another liquid. Oh, well, I guess we could go with some sort of a juice of some sort. What kind of juice would I like?
We ask the hard-hitting
Let's go.
questions.
Yeah.
I'm dying right now.
I'm
This is so good.
I'm gonna say watermelon. It's like fresh watermelon.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get down with that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Last question. If your best friend had to describe you in 3 words, what would those 3 words be? And we're just going to take grounded off
This
the
is
table.
assuming
Yeah, you
I
can't say
have
grounded.
This is assuming I have a best friend.
He just shaved his mustache.
Okay, you're saying 3?
Three words to describe you.
You can't say grounded.
Yeah, we already determined that you're very grounded.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody can feel your groundedness.
I would say they would say I'm present. So maybe in some sense loyal, there,
Yeah.
available.
I love that.
Let's see another word. I would say maybe cerebral,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that goes with just being maybe open-minded or a willingness to think about things maybe not so linearly an abstract way. So cerebral, if that works.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably a good listener. I'd say, somebody would say
Awesome.
listen well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I love all of this.
I know.
Kenny, I feel like I've gotten to know you so much today.
Yeah, like the mysteries kind of
Like I really feel like you are like a mystery, but like learning kind of your story does explain so much about you. And I think like just growing up in the South, like in a more religious home, and then being a nomad and being all over the place and kind of jumping around to different jobs, and then finding this the intense, like real fucking grown up job, like
Full
to
adulthood.
ground you like full send on the adulthood. But like at age 30, where I feel like we live in this culture where it's like you're expected to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Like when you're done with school and you go
that's
to
such a
college and it's just like, oh, there's this timeline. But I think that it's really normal for people in like our early 30s to be like, what is my purpose? Like kind of like not like a midlife crisis, like a quarter life crisis kind of. Like I think that's a really normal thing for people to question, be like, okay, what am I doing? Like what am I actually want to do?
Absolutely.
And like I feel like your like story kind of like shows just that. Like yes, you can go and be a nomad, you can go and do all these things, and then like you can find where you're supposed to be and like ground yourself. And like, so I just think that's really cool that like you have just this awesome story with all of these twists and turns, and here you are, like this just super chill, cerebral, present, loyal, grounded dude. And I'm like super, super grateful that you are here with us today and shared all of your story.
I'm happy to have the opportunity. Yeah, and I'm pretty quiet in general. Like I think when people meet me, they probably think that there's some sort of like something going on in my head, or a lot of times David will be like, people will ask like, what are you thinking about? Especially when I'm training jiu-jitsu, it's like I don't know what I'm thinking about. Like my head is somewhere, like I'm thinking deeply about the series of moves, the system here, or whatever it is. Like so I don't, I guess, talk a lot, so it can take a while to get to know somebody like me. Just go back to like the questions about gi or no gi. I said gi, and it's not because I'm really good at gi. Because when I first started training jiu-jitsu, I mostly trained no gi. So the gi answer is because I think that the gi more than no gi can translate to no gi, rather than vice versa, because the grips and stuff. Like you don't learn that stuff in no-gi, but in gi, a lot of the things that you're doing can translate to no-gi.
Yeah.
And so I've just had the opportunity to go to more gi classes, and so I'm more interested in gi. And takedowns, it's kind of the same thing. It's like I'm not good at takedowns really at all. Like I don't really have a whole lot of and so I choose takedowns because I think it's an important aspect of like grappling that a lot of gyms don't work so much on when it comes to jiu-jitsu, but thankfully our gym does a pretty decent job at incorporating that stuff. So I'm more interested to like become more proficient at that. So just wanted to kind of clarify those two answers. Not that I'm
for sure
good at those things, but like those are the things I would choose.
That's fair. Yeah. That's totally fair.
Okay, well, you are good at those things.
If we have some listeners at our gym and they're like, "Oh my God, he picked the two things he sucks the most at,"
There's only one person that's going to call you out on that, and you guys are going to see each other outside of that too. Oh my God! All right.
Like next time we're both at class, I'm gonna be like, "Let's roll. You can only fucking go for a takedown, bro.
Only takedowns.
Only takedowns. That's
Only
it.
in the gi. I'm not training with you any other way."
Yeah, but you see the same crows that are on the telephone lines
all the time. All the time.
I've been trying to lure them in my house.
Oh yeah. It's not, why?
Oh my God! Tell me about the crows in your house, Kenny, please.
A long time ago, I don't know. It's just interesting to me, like I guess I hate to think I'm that weird freaking neighbor, but like It's like
trying to-
throwing food scraps out and like seeing what animals will come, you know. And I'm like always wondering, like, I wonder if the raccoons or the possums got it last night. But these crows.
Do you have cameras?
I know, I'm like,
I need to get
what?
some.
Yeah, you're missing everything.
I know. So yeah, the crows. I'm just interested in like seeing if I can build this trust with them to get them closer and closer. You know,
Be like that lady in Home Alone where you're sitting on a bench with all of your fucking
all the
crows
crows.
around you. It's not pigeons, it's crows.
This is so.
Does that also make
great.
sense with who you kind
Yes.
of figured out I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is yes.
You
Wait,
are
let me ask you:
fascinating.
would you ever have like a pet raven on your shoulder? Just
I totally would. I don't
think-
know that it's legal or that
Right.
it's advisable
That's
due to their
okay.
nature, but in whatever fairy tale book
Yeah.
it is that I exist in, absolutely.
whoa, just put himself in the book.
That's so
100%.
great.
I'm looking for them to
That's
bring
so
me
funny.
like, you know, all the shipwreck coins.
Yeah.
that they're finding on
Yes.
the beach.
Waving oddly at the neighbors.
Walking the dog. I'm like, I wonder if Kenny can see me right now.
It's not weird at all. She's got her three-legged dog smoking a joint, looking for your house. It's fine.
It's fine.
Do you have a three-legged dog?
I do.
Please tell me its name's not Sparkles or something.
It's Jelly.
Okay, that's good.
It's Jelly. I have a four-legged dog as well. His name's Luca. Yeah, but one of each. We usually close out our episodes with like what we call our chill zone and like what we do to like kind of like ground ourselves outside of jiu-jitsu. But like we
whole
really
episode of
already
the chill
talked
zone.
about that. So
Yeah.
I mean, this whole
yes.
episode was a chill zone. So.
I feel like I feel like I had a meditation
Yeah,
for this
me
episode.
too.
So
Yeah. I
thank
love
you
that.
for that, Kenny.
Okay, good.
For making my day so peaceful
Yeah,
and
seriously.
so chill.
If you could just record a voice note for us to fall asleep to, like that would be great.
It would not be creepy.
This took a turn, but we appreciate
For
you
real life, yes.
a lot. So,
Thank you for doing this.
yeah, anything you want to plug at all?
Like your socials and where the whole town can locate you. Just kidding.
Yeah, like no social security number.
I mean, if you know anything about this podcast or where these people train, come to that gym.
There you go.
And you find the guy that's like in the corner not talking to anybody, that'll be me, and you can roll with me, and it'll be safe and fun.
Yes.
And grounded.
Yeah, Kenny is on the approved rolling list for the ladies. Let's just put that out there.
Yes, he is.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Check us out on Instagram at Chokeholds and Chill Pod, or shoot us a message at chokeholdsandchillpod@gmail.com.